Hi, Stars fans. Welcome to an episode on the Mighty Melbourne Stars podcast off season. So this is fantastic. It's good to be back. I'm Mighty Melbourne Stars as always.
Hey guys, it's Jacob here from Melbourne Stars News, and yes, pleased to be back for another episode in the off season. It's been a while since me and Heath have been joined by each other here on the Mighty Melbourne Stars podcast, but we're happy to be back. There's been a bit of news around the league with multiple things, draft signings, and plenty of other stuff. So with things ramping up before the draft, me and Heath are here to have a chat on some news, but I'll hand back over to Heath to get us started.
All right. So the first thing we'll talk about is Jake Weatherald. He re-signed with the Hobart Hurricanes. Now, Jacob and I wanted Weatherald on our team. This obviously is a surprise, not to like obviously to us and the other fans around the league, but to sign for the Hurricanes to sign Weatherald, and they've already got Mitch Owen. How do you reckon that's going to impact them, as well as why do you think we didn't get Weatherald in the first place? And obviously he went to the Hurricanes, as I said before.
Yeah, well, Weatherald is a Tasmanian. He plays Sheffield Shield there, so state cricket down there, and I'm assuming he probably lives down there and has family down there. And it's a similar situation to Bo Webster. He probably wanted to head back home and play BBL down there. You'll find that most players play Big Bash for the state that they live in, just as a convenience thing, I think. But look, the Hurricanes have been really active throughout the past kind of 8 months in player signings and stuff like that, right from the start of BBL 14 all the way through to now, and we've seen that with Bo Webster. So I think the Hurricanes have just been more aggressive than we are potentially. I'm sure we would have possibly made a few phone calls and tried to get Weatherald to come our way, but I think he had his mind set from the get go on where he wanted to be, and obviously his agents were able to get that done for him. So yeah, I mean, judging off Mitch Owen's performance last year and to add Jake Weatherald to that batting lineup, they're going to be extremely strong. I think if Jake Weatherald goes up top with Mitch Owen, then that's probably going to be the best opening duo in the league, I'd have to say. So yeah, best of luck to the Hurricanes. I think they've kind of come from nowhere last season, and then to win the grand final and to have a strong start to the off season, it's going to be really interesting to see where they end up.
Yeah, no, that's very, very good thoughts. I definitely agree with everything that you just said. They're going to be strong, and like, good luck to them. Yeah, hopefully they don't go back to back, but we don't know. Anyway, so the other news we were going to talk about is Peter Moores has re-signed for an extra 2 years at the Stars. So get around him, as I posted on Instagram on the podcast account that he is resigned, and obviously that shows the faith for us in Peter, since he obviously he basically coached us from 0-5 to our run to 5-0 in the finals. So that was really good. What were your thoughts on Peter Moore's re-signing to the Stars, and how do you reckon that's going to impact us as a club?
Yeah, it's a good question to be honest, because there's a lot of debate around it. I know at the start of last season when we were 0-5, you, me, and Josh had the conversation: is Peter Moores the right guy for the job? Because we just weren't performing. But then to be able to go 5-0 and not lose a game in the second half of the season, that's something that takes a lot of skill from not only the players but from the coach. So maybe his leadership and experience was needed and was executed to a high level, because clearly to get us into our first final in 5 years, it takes a lot of effort. So I reckon there was definitely some coaching expertise behind that. So maybe he's the right guy for the job. I mean, Max Abbott, our new general manager, has signed him for 2 more years for a reason. So I'm sure um, Peter's looking forward to being back with us. I know there was an interview posted, which a lot of you would have listened to already. and he did seem pretty excited to be back. He had a lot of great memories in the past 2 years with some of our players. So yeah, my overall thoughts, I'm pretty happy with it. I'm interested to see really what he can do over these next 2 years, especially with developing some of the younger guys as our older guys kind of age out and retire. What do you think about him?
Yeah, no, as I said before, I reckon he's very, very good for us. His leadership will help us, and the bond between him and Stoinis, it just shows like he's just a great coach to be around. And yeah, I can't wait to see what he does with us in the future. So, did you want to like announce a couple of things that we've done so far?
Yep. So me and Heath have been talking because it's been a bit of a quiet off season. These past few months have always been the quiet part before the draft and stuff. Hopefully in the next half of the year it gets a bit more exciting. But we've been planning some podcasts, and we thought we'd announce to you guys that we're going to try and get another episode of Stars General Manager on the Mighty Melbourne Stars podcast. This time, obviously, with a new general manager, Max Abbott, who comes from Cricket Australia and the ICC with a load of experience and probably some pretty cool stories to share live with us. So we're going to be in contact with him shortly, and we're going to be able to hopefully get him on if all goes well. And we've had some other ideas. We're looking at targeting some players potentially that I have contact with, or even the coach himself, Peter Moores, that we were just talking about. So look, plenty of big things coming your way to the Mighty Melbourne Stars podcast, and me and Heath are definitely very excited to bring that to you. Do you have anything to say about those guests, Heath? Are you excited?
I'm very excited. It's gonna it's gonna bring our podcast and get us noticed. Like I'm very excited to see where we can go in the short term future and beyond. We've also got some exciting news about the YouTube live and what we're doing for the draft.
Yep. Did you want to share that?
Yeah, so we're going to go live for the first time on the podcast YouTube channel, going live and giving our reactions to this start Big Bash draft. Who we pick up as it's going to be new for us, and we're very excited. We'll try our best to give our reaction and thoughts on who we pick up and everyone picks up, and what our team list will eventually look like with the extra picks. So that's going to be very interesting. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to a YouTube stream about the draft. The draft's always been a big thing for me, and it's less than a month away now that they've pushed it forward to June 19th. So that is up and coming pretty fast. So me and Heath are already planning stuff about that, and we're really looking forward to it. We'll see who we have on for that one. It'll definitely be me, Heath, and Josh. But yeah, we're definitely looking forward to trying out YouTube. And now, speaking of the draft, I put out a story on my Instagram yesterday with a question box, as you know, Heath, and we got a lot of responses, which I appreciate from everyone. And we just have a few fan questions that I thought I'd read out, and me and Heath can both answer them if that's all good.
Yeah, no, you hit away with the fan questions. Let's
Let's
get
do
into it.
it. We've got about 10 questions here, so if we're all right for time, we'll see how many we can get through. The first one, I don't have names by the way. I just wrote down the questions. Is will Joe Clark be with us next year? Well, it's a good question because we do have the option to retain Joe Clark because he's played for us last season and in the BBL. So if we wanted to, we could definitely take Joe Clark. Now the thing is, do we want him? I personally think he'd be a great option as when he played back-to-back seasons with us, he was one of the top international leading run scorers. He scored a century for us at the MCG, and he's one of the best batters at the MCG. So it'd be a no-brainer for me. However, this at the start of BBL 14, he had quite a shocking game at Optus Stadium against the Perth Scorchers, but then he did make up for it with a nice 35 runs against the Brisbane Heat in our home opener. So look, for me, I'd be really keen to have Joe Clark back next season. What do you think, Keith?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I reckon we should definitely retain him. He's a very good asset to us, especially for our batting lineup, as he adds just that depth that we haven't seen. And if he's available for every game of our season plus finals, if we make it, then by all means, I reckon we should retain him. And he just needs to have a consistent run, old Clarky boy.
Yep, no, I agree, but I think he's consistent when he stays with us for a longer period of time. Like in BBL, what are we at? In BBL 12 and BBL 11, he was with us for the full season pretty much. And that was where he was at his best, you know. He was scoring hundreds and hundreds of runs in a season. So I think if we can try and target someone in the draft who has good availability, that leaves them time to get into their rhythm and be with us for most of the season. And speaking of international batters, this guy says odds on Dan Lawrence. He's been with us the past 2 years. Well, it all depends on Dan Lawrence's availability. As we know, he tends to arrive late and leave early, and it's usually due to other commitments, probably not international commitments with England, but more so the ILT20, which takes place during the BBL as well. So it all depends. Maybe the draft got moved earlier so we have time to talk contracts with these international players because the odds for us to re-sign Dan Lawrence, I'd assume, would be quite high. He's averaging 50 runs right now with the Melbourne Stars on his stat sheet. So he's a proven performer and he's done it the past couple of years. He's come in when our backs have been against the wall and he's really helped us out. Would you like to see Dan back in the squad for BBL 15, Heath?
Yeah, it wouldn't hurt to have Dan Lawrence back in the squad. It also, like you said, depends on his availability and if he can play the full games and finals, and if he doesn't have any commitments. But like you said, they pushed the draft forward, so I reckon it'll give us time to sign him up and get him going. So yeah, I would like to see him in BBL 15.
Yep, no doubt. And this one's a very vague question up next. It's just who should we pick up in the draft? Do you have any players that you're looking out for? Obviously, the list is not out yet, but just based off last year and international players that you like, is there anyone that you'd like us to pick up in the draft?
Jesus. Trying to figure out who are some of the names that got picked up in the draft.
Well, I mean, there's been a lot. There's been James Vince for the Sixers. There's been Colin Munro for the Heat. But a lot of those guys are probably going to be retained. But players that we can retain, I mean, you've got Ben Duckett, who unfortunately probably won't be in the draft. We've got Osama Mir or Harris Ralph.
Mm.
Um, it's hard to pick, I know, because the list hasn't come out yet. But we could probably skip over that question because yeah, I am with you. It's hard to give an answer when we haven't got the list yet. But a guy I know who is a good chance at nominating this year, is Phil Salt, and he's a great batter, and I believe he can even be a backup wicket keeper as well. So I'd be keen to see Phil Salt come our way. We know he's a good performer in the international T20s for England, or even Shamar Joseph, I believe that's his name, from the West Indies, who Australian who Australia played in the 2024 summer here, and he was probably the standout youngster. He was going to be available for the full tournament, and we probably would have picked him with our number one pick. However, his availability changed, as we know. Confidence going into BBL 15 is our next question. Me personally, I'm feeling pretty confident after the season we had in BBL 14. I think we really stepped up. And there goes Heath. Hopefully he joins back in 1 second. I'll continue with that question. It really shows, just what we are capable of with our list. We lost a lot of international stars
Yeah,
throughout the season, and that was for a number of reasons due to injury and availability. But it was where our leaders stepped up, I think, in Maxwell and Stoinis, who all had some incredible games, and they were able to get us, into that 5-5 position and force finals. So to be honest, I'm quite confident going into next season, as of right now. But I think it's really, really important that we make the correct signings with our draft picks. We don't want to waste these picks. And I think we also have to sign some local players as well. Heath, how confident are you going into the season?
yeah, no, very confident after last year. Our form speaks for ourselves. We obviously lost to the Thunder in that rigged bloody pitch that Always,
Yeah, stupid oval.
yeah, always seems to give us the shits. We should be making finals again, and we should be pushing past that week one finals and aiming for a home final because we can do it. We have seen it in the past. It's just whether or not the boys want to lift and we actually want to turn up and show who we are, as we haven't won a title, as we all know, but that can change.
Hmm.
Willing to force that change. We can't do it ourselves, and I reckon we should be making finals based off last year.
Yeah, no, I think finals would be a benchmark for us, seeing as we did make it last year. But it's the way we make finals. I don't want to have a shit start to the year and then just scrape the bottom of the barrel and somehow squeeze in and have to rely on other teams to win or lose. Like we just want to be comfortable and enjoy our season. And to enjoy it, we want to see some good gameplay. Now we're not going to go 10-0. We're going to have some tough losses. Things are going to happen, but I really just don't want to start 0-5, and nobody wants to see that. So yeah, that comes down to what we were talking about before. Our next question is: do you think Mark Stecky will get another contract? Well, Stecky was pretty good in the second half of the season for us. He was our leading wicket taker, I believe, towards the end, and he even took a fifer at Marvel on his birthday, and that was a very special match against the Renegades, one to go down in the history books. Now, Stecky is out of contract, and he is a Queenslander, so obviously he played at the Brisbane Heat prior to that, and there has been rumours of him looking to return there, or the Heat looking to re-sign him. Now, I personally think Stecky was happy at the Stars, and I think if we do offer him a contract, he will accept it, even if it's just a 1 or 2 year contract. I think the chances are quite high that he will return. But have we offered him that contract? I'm not sure. But hopefully, in the coming months, after the draft, we do see that re-sign. It may not be till October or November. That's when most of the signings kind of ramp up to fill in the squad. But yeah, I'd definitely be keen to see him back. Do you want to see him back, Heath?
Yeah, definitely. I would love to see him back. Like that fifer against the Renegades was so awesome to see on his birthday. Just beating the Renegades was great, and seeing Steckity doing what he does. Yeah, I would like to us to sign him again. We need to keep him because he's one of our key players in for our title push.
Yeah, no doubt. I think it's really important that we just strengthen our order right from the top down to the bottom. We need to make sure that we're playing the right guys for the job. And speaking of our order, we have a question. Stoinis to the top of the order with Webster out. What are your thoughts on that?
We have I've been saying this for years since we started the podcast. We need to have Stoinis up at the top. I know he came in like off like in between Maxwell. We really need to push him up the top because we've all been saying it. He's been really good at the top, but we haven't seen it, and we really need to put him and Joe Clark at the top of the order. Like Stoinis facing and Joe Clark as his partner. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. We just have so many other options that we could utilize because we have such a strong batting lineup. And yeah, look, me and Heath, as Heath mentioned, would love to see Stoinis somewhere at the top of the order with Webster out. We have a spot to fill. Now, Webster is usually a top order batter in the Big Bash, coming in at probably number 3 or maybe number 5, depending on the game. But we need to fill him with someone, which kind of takes me to the next question that we have: is who should the Stars target this season? And that's not talking about the draft. This is talking about just standard players. Now, we've already targeted a number of people. Jake Weatherald, for example. There was talks on Matt Renshaw. And there's probably a lot of other batters that I'm forgetting names of right now. I just can't think of them because it's been a few months. But there was plenty of trade rumours around the league. And the one trade rumour that just hasn't gone away that the Stars are still holding on to, and it's probably the one that's most likely to get done, is Tim David.
Mm.
Now, the Hurricanes have signed a lot of players, including Jake Weatherald and Bo Webster. They're also probably paying big money for Mitch Owen, and a lot of other guys like Matty Wade, Ben McDermott, and guys like that who are going to strengthen them. So, do you think that we'd be able to target Tim David in a trade or no?
Well, it depends. Like, can you really fit Tim David in that Hurricanes batting lineup? Like you said, if he's available, I'd be taking him. I would throw all the kitchen. I would throw what we have at Tim David, give him a 3 4 year contract, and you get to be playing in front of the MCG and yeah, I would definitely say we need to take him if he's available. Like it's a no brainer. We know how good he is. It'd be great for us to pick him up if we can. That's if he doesn't get a contract at the Hurricanes.
Yeah, well, speaking on that, there's rumours from Tom Morris, from Channel 9 that the Hurricanes could potentially be reaching their salary cap. So they might not have the money or space to sign Tim David. And that's just what I was mentioning before about how many other batters they've already signed and who they're paying for. So they really might not have an option. So I'd love to see Tim David come back because he is only young. So if we could sign him on a big contract, that'd be very beneficial for us. And we could jiggle around our order to to suit it because we don't want him coming in too late. We want him at that right position at probably 5 or 6 where he can close out an innings because we've seen how dangerous he is um, at the late end of the innings. Now we've got Hilton Cartwright, so potentially we could see a trade with him. We could. There's been rumours of letting him go, or we just move the order around and just sign David because he's a free agent, so we don't have to give anybody up for Tim David. We can literally just sign him if he agrees to it. So yeah, I guess we just got to hope for the best and hope that our general manager can get the deal done. Um, my next question, and it's the last one, and it seems that we can't go a live stream or a podcast without getting this question, and it's just straight thoughts on Tom Rogers. Like, I swear, the amount of times I've been asked this question, it's getting ridiculous. But yeah, I guess we'll answer it again. My thoughts on Tom Rogers. He had a pretty bad BBL 14. I think everybody agrees with that. He hasn't been good for a few seasons now, and quite frankly, he was a waste of a spot in our lineup last year and previous years as well. He had a good T10 tournament overall. That's the T10 development tournament, which we've spoken on the last month. He did go out for a duck in the grand final, but he had some consistent performances, which is a good sign. So did Sam Harper. But to be honest, I just think there's other young guys that we could be giving a shot instead of Tom Rogers. And a guy that comes to mind is Campbell Callaway, who I think must play in BBL 15. I think he needs to be in our lineup. We need to give him a chance to perform unless we make some real good signings. I think we need to give Campbell Callaway a chance over Tom Rogers because when we're playing Rogers, I mean, we've got nothing to lose. Like he's been pretty bad, so I think if we play Callaway, we've got nothing to lose. What do you think about the Tom Rogers situation, Heath?
I just don't like Tom Rogers. He's a not a good player. No disrespect to the guy, but he's not a title winning player. He's just not good. I don't know why we keep getting asked this question. He's not a good player. The only thing he's good at is depth and helping us out, and all about. That's really all he can do. Like I don't want to see him give Campbell Callaway a go, but it depends on who we sign, and I reckon just trade Tom Rogers because he's not good.
Yep, I'd be interested in a trade. Now, Rogers has 1 year left on his contract, so he's contracted for BBL 15. But I'm tipping if we don't do anything with him this off season, then he will not be receiving a contract next season. That's for sure. It depends if he gets games or not. If he gets games, he has to perform. If he doesn't get games, then well, that's goodbye as well. I think.
Yeah.
Because yeah, we just got other options. We don't want him at the top of the order getting us off to a bad start when we could, have Marcus Stoinis or Cartwright paired with an international guy, like Ben Lawrence or Ben Duckett, or not this year, but Joe Clark. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't think he's the right guy for the job at all, quite frankly.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Well, that takes me to the end of the questions. I don't have any more left, but I think it was a great idea to do that. Just share some responses with the fans, and we can do that after the draft as well, because we will be doing a draft review. Hopefully when Josh is back from his cruise. Shout out Josh as well. We're missing him on this episode. But yeah, we're looking forward to that. That'll probably be the next podcast, which will be not too long. Once this one's released, the draft is only about three-ish weeks away. So looking forward to that. Do you have anything you'd like to add, Heath, before we kind of wrap things up? Because, like I said, I don't have any questions left.
Yeah, don't forget to give a follow to the podcast account as well as our podcast accounts. For all your news, follow Jacob, my co-host here, and follow the podcast account because both Jacob and I will update yous on any draft and trade news. Also, don't forget to, just because we hit 50 subscribers, we want to push now for that 100 subscribers. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, turn your notification on bell, and make sure you get the latest updates on the Mighty Melbourne Stars podcast, as Jacob and I like to bring you the best quality content, and we just like to we just like to like interacting with the fans and reviewing and previewing games and sharing the highs and lows of the Stars, and also Josh as well. So yeah, any thoughts on that?
No, it's all very well said, Heath. I couldn't have said it any better. Yeah, thank you all. As he said, go check out previous videos on our Instagram and YouTube, and keep supporting us, because that is what motivates us to continue making this content. And yeah, off season doesn't matter. We're not going anywhere. We're still here, and we're looking forward to the season, which is fastly approaching. Before we know it, we're already halfway through the off season, just about. And the news, well, there only gets more of that as the months go on. So thank you all. A nice long episode for everybody to listen to, 27 minutes. So yeah, I guess that's it from me and Heath. It's been the Mighty Melbourne Stars podcast, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one. Go Stars. What you doing?